Over the next 10 years, I don't want to chase the new shiny objects. Every fund, every stock, every new little bit of AI. I don't really want to do that. I want something that is simple. You can follow, you can understand, and hopefully compound your income. This lowers my stress. I've been there and done it over the course of time with the volatile stuff. And yeah, I don't really want that anymore. So in this video, I'm going to go through the next decade, the plan, the root of it all, and why I'm still holding Bitcoin, why I'm still looking to diversify into more income-based stocks and funds, and also I now have my pension up and running properly. This is not financial advice, but I know some people may well read this title as what our investment plan is, but you get the idea. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break it up essentially into 3 buckets. Now, I know that people just think, oh, boring dividends, but I do have growth, and that is bucket number 1, growth. Bucket number 2 is also income, and bucket number 3 is technically tax efficiency, even though there's a bit of a grey area when it comes to stocks and shares ISAs, as you'll know in my previous video regarding Red Shell Thieves, who's like into the idea of, I want to steal some of your monies, please. Again, Labour government for you. But the situation is I don't want every single bit of my portfolio doing the exact same job. You can't have growth, income and tax efficiency all in the same route because it doesn't really exist when you think, well, income and growth don't really go together. If you've not yet done so, please do like this video, subscribe for more, and comment what is your favourite stock, fund, or actually if you're holding Bitcoin. And speaking of Bitcoin, that is my growth side of it. Now, I know it's Marmite and I've taught Bitcoin for a number of years. I know people have messaged me asking for guides. I have closed my education company because there was no interest at the time. AI has kind of ruined the world of education when it comes to anything realistically. And cryptocurrency is a very weird kind of niche. It's very much fast paced. You've got to get the information really, really quick because I'm not interested, right? That's just how it is. Now, I'm a massive advocate for Bitcoin. I know some people will disagree in the comments. I would highly, highly suggest before you ever even look at it, do your research, understand where the value comes from, why the scarcity model matters, and all the little caveats in between it. It is a very volatile asset. It will go up, it will go down, it will do nothing for a while as well. It's a very interesting asset in that sense. But I don't want to brag or anything, but I invested in 2016 when it was like $700. I made a lot of money. It has changed my life. And I still have a very, very decent chunk of it. It's still my highest percentage of wealth by a long distance because I can't really extract it because of taxation reasons, because I held it for so long. So I do take some money out of it. I do move it around a little bit, but obviously, yes, I'm going to get absolutely taxed to buggery. But this is still a very much power play for me because I can still hold it. I'm still happy to hold it. I still will, and I've said this before, buy more when it's lower. I have stable currencies waiting in the wings for me to go and plonk back in at the lows to get even more Bitcoin. I know, a little bit of greed there, but ultimately, if I want to and I don't have to, I can move a lot of that money out into my stocks and shares ISA or into my pension, but I'm not willing to do that. There's no point. I'm still young. But yes, I know for a fact that I get comments all the time and I get bored of saying it. I want my stocks and shares ISA to be income. That is it. My overall goal, and you can see it on the screen, I want to generate products and tools to allow you to become a better investor. Whether that is in the stocks, whether that is in ETFs, or whatever side of the coin you want to be on, that's totally fine. Now, when we talk about my screener, this is all going to develop to keep it simple, using the likes of good, solid information and research to improve your knowledge and stock picking or your ETF picking. You can, of course, add individual stocks. There's nothing wrong with that. But my goal is to focus on the dividends. Now, if you manage to guess my change in my portfolio, I've not showcased my portfolio, but I have bought Shell. Shell is my new acquisition. The reason being, let me explain. It's an obvious pick, isn't it? Shell, that's quite obvious. Well, oil companies are doing very well. They have done well. It's dipped quite a lot. And yeah, it's a good growing dividend asset. It's got a 72 dividend safety score on my plan, on my screen here. Even though the revenue isn't great, but I know for the forecast, it doesn't have the data here, but I know for the forecast, it's going to be much heavier because they've made lots of money due to the, you get the idea, profits, bonuses. So that'll do well. But overall, dividend safety score, it's pretty much up there with what I want. I want a decent DPS, growth target on the dividend is the biggest fundamental for me when I look for a stock. Is it growing its dividend? Then you look at the quality of the stock. Is it a good stock? Yes. Is it a good one for revenue? How does it make money? Is it healthy? Can it manage its debt? You get the idea. If there's a wobble, can it go to shit? No. So Shell kind of picks that point. It's got a healthy payout ratio as well, so it's got a decent buffer. So can't really complain with this one. But ultimately, that's the thing. It will build over time. I don't want this portfolio to boom overnight because that will make it wrong. I want it to grow its income over time. And you'll see that in the next section of what I want to do. So yes, using stuff like this, it will make life easy. But again, you can look at on here as well, historical data. Being in, say, the all world fund, for example, in your portfolio, it may well be a thing for you. It may not be. Ultimately, it depends. So there's a couple on here. You can search for them, but you can see the overall data of the past. Even the all world fund has been amazing when you think about it. But yeah, individual stocks, ETFs, whatever it may be. This is the one of the ones I have actually. Not amazing, but it's all right. When you think this has been paying out 3% yield on top of that growth cargo, so it's been doing okay. And even still, realistically, its average underwater isn't too bad at all. So it has been pretty settled. The only downside you could probably argue is the average returns are not amazing. But again, when you add and factor in income and the compound of that income with the yield on cost, it actually works out pretty well. By the way, if you want this tool, there's a link below. The prices are going to change. So basically, the discount is going to get removed soon. So I wouldn't delay. It's only for a limited number of spots, anyways. I'm debating adding more stuff, anyways. You'll know this if you've been following along. But there's a lot more stuff coming to this, and there's a lot more stuff coming to this as well. So there's more courses available. So if you are like, I'm completely lost, I don't know what I'm doing, there will be all kinds of other content incoming too. And I maybe add in a community section. I will see what I can do. If you comment Discord, I might be open to the idea of it. Just saying. Let's talk about pensions. Aha. Now, I will be the first to admit I've been rubbish with it. So I was with Pension B, and I was for about 3 years. I didn't really contribute much to it though. I just didn't really bother. I just didn't really want it to at the time. Changed my opinion a little bit now. However, moved back to Vanguard. And overall, I haven't really done much. You can see the old returns there, but it actually has. I think I've generated over £7,000 or £8,000 on top of what I've already done. So it's kind of just sat there and just kind of matured over time. But the reason why I moved is, well, there's two reasons. The fees are better for this because I will be in the all world fund. I've kind of showcased it before. That is what I'm going to be in. So this is what I'm in. As you know, it's quite an obvious fund, but the situation is very, very clear. It's an obvious pick, isn't it? I want to put my personal contributions for the tax relief and also my company. So realistically, what I've done is kind of just built my platform better. Me as an individual, I was a sole trader. I've then went back into being a limited company. Therefore, I'm not going to get butchered by the pay on account. One of the best tax efficiency ways to kind of, keep your money is to put, whatever's been taxed or whatever into your into your SIP, but also as a limited company before you get taxed in terms of corporation tax, you can put your contributions into your pension as a director and it will reduce your corporation tax. That's a huge factor. So that will be getting plonked in here like normal. I haven't set how much I'm going to do, but I will be showcasing it over the course of time, building my pot up, and so you can see it for proof in the pudding. But yeah, this is just where I am right now. So I have 6 figures in the stock market, which is quite nice. Not bad for being 35, but ultimately I need to be more aggressive with it. But realistically, moving from Pension B is not an issue. Like, it is a great platform. If you want, right, just put it out there. I did recommend Pension B, but if you want a hands-off approach and they manage it, that's probably a really good place to be. If you're a bit like me though, and you want to be in the funds that you want to be in, so for example, the Vanguard funds, whether it's a high dividend yield, whether it's the all world fund, whether it's the FTSE 100 or the S&P, whatever it may be, in your pension, you can do it for less fees, but you are taking the risk of that can. It is your pension at the end of the day. So there's two different sides of the coin. For me, yeah, the fees are a lot lower to do it yourself, but doing it yourself, you need that education. So I stress it, do your own research, make sure you know what the fuck you're doing. Otherwise, it'll go a bit pear-shaped and that's your pension ruined. So don't go in semiconductors or batteries or whatever, which may well fizzle out. Who knows? When we talk about the overall goal setting, I've often talked about the age of 50. I want a lot of income by the age I'm 50. And to get that, I need to invest. Average contributions every single month without fail into my ISA, also into my pension. Also, I need to manage my Bitcoin stack. I'm still buying Bitcoin, by the way, as a dollar cost average challenge on my other YouTube channel. So that side of it covered, growing. It's great. Cool. Now, when we talk about my portfolio, now there's a couple of numbers that are not quite perfect here, and I know that only because the dividend growth isn't perfect and the yield is that's fine. But ultimately, some of my funds right now don't have all the data. So the dividend growth is probably a little bit higher than what that is. But when we talk about passive income, realistically, in the next 11, 10 years, I may well be getting 20 grand in passive income. When you add your 20K on top of that as your contributions, whether that changes or goes higher or low, who knows, right? With the ISA, just take it as it comes. That could be massively powerful for compounding. And that is where people forget. Oh, talk about growth. I won't have that growth in the passive income if I move from, say, a full pot of growth funds into that, because yield on cost does matter. I know people disagree, but if you are reinvesting your dividends at a zero base cost, your yield on cost is going to change. That's why it's called the compound effect. Your income will grow if you reinvest your stocks or your shares, whatever, into the underlying asset at a zero base cost. More money equals more shares, equals more income. So when you guys are putting 20 grand in every single time into your stocks and shares ISA for growth and not realizing any profit because you can't do that until you sell, I don't have to. I could put 20 grand of already invested assets through returns of income back into the market, therefore making even more money. Would you rather have 40 grand in your pot or 20 grand? Well, I know what I'd rather have every single year. In 8 years' time, I am looking to be roughly around 500,000 mark, which is pretty key, obviously. Average returns currently 16% growth. That is massive, by the way, for my type of portfolio. I know it's a purple patch, but it's great. That may not be the same forever. But as I say, when we talk about that, I haven't adjusted it for inflation, but ultimately you get the idea. If I do add the goal for inflation, it will nudge it a bit higher. Not much though. Realistically, there you go, 10 years. But in terms of the average base rate, it's 705,000. But ultimately, we're still looking at some good numbers. But we're still at the 15-year mark for $1 million, or 1.68 million potentially here when you factor in inflation. Whether that number is correct or not, I don't know. But ultimately, we're looking at some great lofty numbers, and it's not that far away when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, it's all about doing the averages. By the way, if you want this tool, link below. Highly recommended. Get a free trial. It's a good one, especially if you put your portfolio in over a course of years, you'll see a lot more. Another thing as well, and I know for a fact when we get a question on it, I've been talking about Lightyear. There's a link below to this if you're interested. But long story short, I do have my company holdings in here. I've only got £100 because I've not done all the forms yet and I'm still building up the capital. So as an alternative, just in case, I know for a fact we'll get comments on this, if I'm not extracting it as salary or putting it in my pension, what will I do with it? Well, I could also invest in a limited company in Lightyear. And Lightyear has that if you are a company. So obviously individuals, stocks and shares, ISAs, whatever. But they're one of the best platforms out there for company investments or money markets. So it's pretty cool. I think the biggest lesson is, and I think everyone can relate to this, just keep it simple, be consistent, and more importantly, don't overcomplicate your strategy. Don't switch it. Don't, if you just do the obvious and the basics, you probably do all right, especially when you zoom out. You've seen all the data. But anyways, if you want some help with global ETFs, there's a video here. Feel free to watch it. It will help you with the three most obvious ones if you're stuck. That should be your foundation if you're beginning investing anyways.